Listen to this. Last week, having been impeached after 6 years as governor of Illinois, our first guest was removed from his post and banned from ever again holding elected office in that state. And you think you had a tough week. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former Governor Rod Blagojevich. Here we go. Why exactly are you here? Honest to God. What?
Well, you know, I've been wanting to be on your show in the worst way for the longest time.
Well, you're on in the worst way, believe me. No getting around that.
Well, so I figured I had to get impeached and thrown out of office to get a chance to get invited by you.
I was looking down the records here. Otto Kerner, Democrat, governor of the state of Illinois, convicted on 17 counts of bribery, conspiracy, perjury, and charges related to accepting bribes. Daniel Walker, Democrat. He was convicted in 1987 of improprieties relating to the First American Savings and Loan Association Bank, sentenced to 7 years. He is the governor. Governor George Ryan, currently serving a 6.5-year prison term at a medium security prison and is scheduled to be out. He'll be out and walking around 2013. Now, I mean, is this just part of the oath of office that you guys take? I mean, what? How is this possible? What is that?
Well, when you read it that way, it's obviously a dangerous thing. And had I known that when I ran the first time, I wouldn't have run. I'd have stayed as a congressman. But I'd like your listeners to know, and everybody in Illinois and anyone else who's listening, that unlike those, I'll be vindicated. I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And I'll have an opportunity to be able to go into court and prove that I did nothing wrong.
Now, you know, here's my impression, and I'm not a pundit or an expert, but I saw you on The View. I saw you on the Rachel Maddow show. I saw you on the Today Show. I saw you on, I think, every other show that is in production currently. And the more you talked and the more you repeated your innocence, the more I said to myself, oh, this guy's guilty. Now, are you... But my point is, in having such a high profile during all of this, you run that risk. Now, I'm not saying I'm everybody, but I had that impression.
Well, I can appreciate your position, but consider a circumstance that might involve your life. Let's say, hypothetically, there was another guy who had a talk show on another station from Burbank. Let's say he came from New Jersey. And let's say he said you weren't funny and he had 20 reasons why your top 10 list sucks.
Right.
Would you want him just to get away with that, or would you want to be able to say it simply isn't true? And I can just tell you that this is a very difficult thing that I've gone through, unimaginable, unexpected, unanticipated, and I assert my innocence because it is the truth. And the alternative is to sit in some corner, hide, cower in the fetal position, and assume and accept what people are saying that you did, and you didn't do it, and I didn't do it, and at the appropriate time, I'll have a chance to prove that.
Right. So why not wait till the appropriate time?
Well, I get that.
You know,
I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that, but again, walk a mile in my shoes. Mm-hmm. Let's say people were saying all those nasty things about you, and your lawyers are telling you got to wait for your court date. At the same time, you've got two little girls. I have a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're hearing things about their dad that aren't true. It's very, very difficult to simply sit there and accept the things they're saying about you, taking things out of context and twisting it, and then not say it isn't true, and I'll prove it's not true. And I had a chance in my impeachment trial last week in Illinois to bring witnesses. Everybody involved in this who I talked to about the Senate seat, I wanted them to come in and, under testimony, sworn, tell the truth. I wanted every one of those wiretap conversations heard, not 2 or 3, but every one of them. Right. I wanted the whole truth out, and if they would have allowed me that, I could have begun the process of vindicating myself.
And why was that not allowed at the impeachment?
It was a political dynamic. There was a decision made to remove me. There's a lot of reasons. Among them is, and I say this to the people of Illinois, I believe my fellow Democrats are going to raise the income tax. That was one of the reasons to get me out. Obviously, this is a political problem for the Democratic Party. And then, of course, the other party sees this as an opportunity to embarrass our party. So there were a lot of dynamics that converged. And as a result, I was denied the right to bring in witnesses to prove my innocence.
Now, when you say the top 10 list isn't funny.
No, I didn't say that. Oh. I didn't say that. I said assume someone accused you.
Okay, all right.
No, I think they're very funny.
Yeah,
I can give you 20 reasons why I believe that.
But now, and again, you're dealing with a man who is largely ignorant of these matters, but I was under the impression that the reason you were not able to appropriately defend yourself during the impeachment was because of the scheduled a criminal trial that will take place in the spring. And therefore, without that on the docket, you would have been able to defend yourself, I so assume, with witnesses and whatever means at your disposal. But because you will now face criminal charges, they would not allow witnesses in the impeachment. Is that roughly what happened?
That's roughly what it is. They were alleging criminal activity that they were not required to prove up. They denied me the right to disprove it. And this is America, where you have the right to confront witnesses and address false accusations. And my position was, since you're not going to do it, because the prosecutor has his agenda and it's understandable, then take that off the impeachment and let's move on and wait for the court case and give me the same presumption of innocence that you as a citizen enjoy, that Paul enjoys, and that all of your guests enjoy. The presumption of innocence and the right to confront accusers who are falsely saying you did things you didn't do.
Right. Now, other people will say, well, what he's doing now, he's working on the jury pool for the spring trial. He's trying to plead his case, trying to prejudice a group of people so that it will be difficult to get an impartial jury for that trial. Anything?
No. Your audience obviously likes you. Everything you said.
Sure, yeah.
And that wasn't that funny, with all due respect.
Well, what?
The trial is probably going to be a year from now. It's not anywhere near imminent. So what I'm doing here is I'm just doing the best I can to clear my name. I have daughters who have a right to know that their dad didn't do some of the things they're saying I did, and I'm appealing to the American people. They just give me the basic fairness that they give them. They would expect for themselves.
No. Let's just say, I've heard a lot of these excerpts, these tapes, and we have a little bit of audio tape here, and I think it's you on the phone talking to your brother, who is Rob. Is that correct?
Right.
Right. You're Rod. He's Rob.
Right.
And you're talking about a guy named Johnny Johnston, who is a racetrack operator in Chicago. And apparently there's some favor to be done, some money to exchange for a favor that he might want. Does that ring a bell with you?
Well, I mean, I can't talk about the details, but because that would be inappropriate based on the case. But when all of those tapes are heard, and again, I wanted those heard last week in the impeachment trial, all of them. I'm the anti-Nixon. See, during Watergate, Nixon didn't want any of his tapes heard.
Right.
And because he had something to hide. Me, I want the full context heard so people understand what this was about. I had conversations with U.S. senators, with congressmen. I had conversations with all the different people alleged in that criminal complaint. Let them all testify under oath about the truth.
So now, as I recall, there were 13 articles of impeachment leveled against you. So you're telling me each one of those was a misunderstanding. Each one of those was something out of context.
I'll be happy to talk about some of them. First of all, they didn't prove up not a single wrongdoing, not one act of wrongdoing. Secondly, they were not allowed to prove any criminal allegations, which they couldn't anyway, because I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't allowed to disprove it. Then they impeached me on going to Canada and getting safe and affordable prescription medicines for our senior citizens. I was the first governor to do that. Save 30, 40, 50% for seniors on their medicines. The governor of Wisconsin followed me. The governor of Kansas followed me. The governor of Vermont followed me. I worked with John McCain and Ted Kennedy on this issue. So if they're impeaching me on helping our seniors with safe and affordable prescription medicines, then they ought to expel John McCain and Ted Kennedy from the Senate. That's one of the articles they impeached me on.
But what you're suggesting regarding these articles, that they were all misunderstood, and the audio clips, that they were all somehow out of context. Is that a fair enough explanation of your defense here?
Well, I mean, there are presumably there's hours and hours.
Well, let's listen to this thing, and then you tell me whether it's out of context or not. And tell us what we need to know. Go ahead and set up the clip.
You want me to set up the clip?
Yeah, you set it up. This is you and your brother talking about Johnny Johnston, right?
No, I don't know. I haven't heard it.
Take a listen.
I talked to Lon, and he says Johnny Johnston's good for it.
Okay.
He's going to give you, no, he didn't get it, but he said, I'm good for it. I got to just decide what accounts to get it out of. And Lon's going to talk to you about some sensitivities legislatively tonight when he sees you with regard to timing of all of this.
Right, but before the end of the year, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so what do we got? What are we talking about there?
Well, I mean, you know, again, that speaks for itself. There's not a single criminal act in that conversation. Now, I was afraid you were going to have some of those other tapes where I sounded like Christian Bale. And had I known somebody was listening, I would not have said some of those words. But these were private conversations with top staff.
But what is it? Is money going to change hands?
The campaign contributions, a commitment to raise money.
In return for some favorable treatment for the track owners?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. And why did you need the money before the end of the year?
The way the fundraising works is there are the reporting periods. You report at the end of June, you report at the end of December. And then you ask people who are helping you to meet deadlines. And there was a commitment that had been made actually long before December of this year.
Right.
And it was just... It was to be able to get it in for the filing reports so you can disclose the contributions that you receive, everything that every politician does.
So we listen to that, and you're saying to me that we want to hear the worst, so we do hear the worst, but that little exchange could have been more innocent. Is that correct?
I think that speaks for itself. And again, there are hours of conversations. If the whole story is heard, you'll see a lot of different things, and the end result will show a decision and a process that was right for the people of Illinois. That's why I'm certain of being vindicated.
So in your mind, you're fairly certain that after the criminal trial, you will be declared innocent, and people will say, holy God, we bounced the guy. He was completely innocent. He really should still be our governor.
Yes, I do believe that, and I believe it'll be a historic result. And I believe that impeachment that they did last week was a hijacking of a governor elected twice by the people without proving any wrongdoing, without giving that governor elected by the people, not so much about me, but the people who elected me, the right to be able to show that I didn't do anything wrong.
Do you use a shampoo and conditioner? Or is it two separate? Because they got a thing. I use it.
Right.
We'll be right back with Rod Blagojevich, everybody.